of resume evolution. Since 2009, she has written thousands of resumes for diverse industries at all levels. As an author, speaker, and trusted resources for all things job search, clients seek out her services to differentiate themselves in today's highly competitive job market. Melanie has been featured in several media outlets, televisions, countless radio shows, and she has been invited to speak to organizations and nonprofit across the world on career topic for resumes, LinkedIn, interviewing, personal branding, networking, and career empowerment. She holds an MBA in entrepreneurship and a Bachelor of Science in Business with a minor in English. Now, for more about Melanie, I would share you the link while she'll be giving you her research, or I would say her expertise, or her experience or knowledge that would help multiple, I would say many job seekers today on the platform. Presenting you today's speaker, Melanie L. Denny. Over to you, Melanie. Okay.
Hi, can you hear me? Yes. Okay,
Yes,
thank
yes, I can
you.
hear you.
Thank you. Thank you for the warm welcome. I'm excited to be here. I am just over the moon because I get to share my expertise across the world. So now I'm an international career speaker, right? So thank you so much for this opportunity. Let me share my screen. Today we're going to be talking about interviewing 101. So pretty much how to get hired. So we're going to be going through a lot of information. And so please hold your questions till the end. And I think Benzo will be sharing the questions with me after we're done. All right. So just a little bit about me. You've heard much of this already, but I've done quite a bit. I've been doing this for 11 years now. And so my whole life is pretty much dedicated to career related speaking and services. And so I've also founded a resume writing mentoring group, Society of Elite Resume Writers, and I've been featured in several media outlets. I've written books, and I'm blessed to do the work that I do because pretty much what I'm doing is changing people's lives. And I appreciate what you guys are doing because you're doing the same thing in a different way. So I absolutely love it. And again, I'm honored to be here. So enough about that. Let's talk about what we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about the purpose of an interview. We're going to talk about mindset and how and why it matters. We're going to talk about when interviewing actually starts. I'm going to talk to you about how to research, being prepared, making that first impression, helping you understand what they really want to know, a tip on how to start working before you even get hired, and a few other bonus tips, and then we'll open it up for questions. All right, so let's get started. What is the purpose of an interview? The purpose is twofold. You have a purpose, and the interviewer also has a purpose. Your purpose is to evaluate the company to determine if they're a good fit for your goals. Your goal, or the purpose of the interview, is not necessarily to get the job, even though that's typically what we want, but you want to be looking at it from a mindset of, I'm here to see if this is for me, or maybe it's not for me. And so you want the purpose behind your interview, not necessarily just to, I want to get the job, because it may not be the right job for you. The purpose should be really to evaluate the company and see how and if you fit in, and see how and if it fits in with your career goals. The purpose for them is to evaluate the candidate, you, to determine if you're a good fit for their needs. So really, it should be the same, pretty much the same purpose and outcome for both of the people involved. For them, it's really about minimizing the risk that is involved with hiring people, right? So when you hire someone, there's a big risk involved. Will they come on board and do what they're supposed to do? Will they cost us money? Will they quit on us? Will they do a good job? Will they fit in with the team? All of that is risky for an organization. And so what they want is for you to reassure them that the risk is minimal. Okay. So they're going to make a good decision in hiring you. That's what they're there to determine. And that's the purpose of them interviewing you. So let's talk about mindset. I already touched on it. It's so important because a lot of people are so nervous about interviewing because they're looking at it in the wrong way. They're looking at an interview as I'm going there, they're going to ask me all these questions and I have to answer correctly. And if I don't, I'm going to miss out on something. Really, it shouldn't be an interrogation where you're just answering question after question after question. It's really just a conversation. Again, if you think about the purpose that you're there, it's if you take away the stigma that I'm here to get a job and think about it in a way where you're here to find out if this is the right job for me, that takes a lot of pressure off. And you just converse with the person, answer their questions, and you ask them as well some questions. And remember the fact that you need each other. You come into it thinking I need this job, but they're also coming to it like we need this person, right? And so you need each other. So it's not, you're not there for a handout. You're not there asking for a job. You're not begging for something. You are exchanging value. You're getting money and they're getting your brain power, right? So you need each other. So think about it in that way. And realize that they're nervous too, right? They're nervous too. They don't want to mess this up. They don't want to misrepresent the company. They don't want to make you feel uncomfortable, right? They don't really know what they're doing. A lot of interviewers are just kind of, have a paper there to have questions, but they're just as nervous as you are. So think about that. Again, it's a give and take. It's a two-way street here. And realize that you have power. Okay, there is some power that you hold. All the power is not in the company's hands. You have power as well, right? I'm all about empowerment, and I think you guys are too. That's the name, is part of the name of your thing, right? It's empowerment. And so when you come there knowing that I also have the power to make a decision, to tell someone, no, this is not a good fit for me, to know that you can negotiate, all of those things. When you really take that mindset into your interview, the whole dynamic will change and you will show up differently because you're not here out of desperation. You're here to just see if this is a good fit for you. You're here to see if there's a need that you can fill and to see if there's, a pocket that they can fill with the paycheck, and really assess versus beg. I need, please give me a job. Okay. Now, I want to talk about, when does the interview really start, right? We think, okay, we're going to go into this interview. So when I sit down, that's when it starts. Or when they ask me the first question, that's when it starts, right? And sometimes, you're getting interviewed when you pull into the parking lot. You are, but that's not where it starts, okay? It starts when you hit the apply button. Because from the time you hit the apply button, they are assessing. Remember I said the purpose is for them to assess and see if it's a good fit. They're assessing. So when you hit apply, did you fill out the application properly, right? Did you follow directions? Okay, great, pass. Now, when I call you for to set up something, when I email you to set up a call, do you reply right away? Are you using proper English when you write, proper grammar? All of that is being assessed. When they call you for the phone screening, are you polite? Did you answer the phone rudely? Do you sound busy or preoccupied? Do you not know who's calling you, right? Sometimes we're applying to all these things. You get a call, you don't know who it is, right? All of that is a part of your interview. It doesn't start when you show up to the office, or even if it's virtual on a Zoom call. It starts when you hit apply. So keep in mind that you want to always put your best foot forward, and know that they're always assessing, and you should also be assessing as well, right? So when they call you, are they being polite, right? When they write to you, is it professional? So it's, again, always back and forth, all right? So now, When you show up and when you're ready to actually start interviewing, you need to have done research. And I don't just mean going on the website and reading the about page. That's very basic. That's something I used to do when I was in college because I didn't know anybody. I would go to the about page and I would show up and they would say, what do you know about our company? And I'd rattle off some stuff they put on the about page. I mean, that's okay. But if you really want to get hired and you really want to make a good impression, you need to do a lot more research. Yes, read the company website, get a feel for their history, read the about section, get a feel for their branding, what they're all about, who their customers are. All of that is important. That's the basics, right? Now you also need to research the pay scale, right? So payscale.com is a great place to start to really understand where you fall as it relates to the salary requirements and how you can negotiate. Because once you know what the going rate is, what's going in your area, what this company, Glassdoor, what this company pays, Glassdoor is a great place to find out what companies are paying. Glassdoor is another great place that has interview questions and what they're going to ask you specifically and reviews about the company. So again, all of this is you assessing because you want to make sure this is where you want to work as well. Okay. We don't want to be desperate and just go for a job because there's a job opportunity in front of us. We want to really take some time to research. LinkedIn is another great place to research, right? So you can go to the company page and then kind of sift through the people who work there. So you get a feel for who works there. You can kind of study them, see how long they've been working there. You can see what's, if people are moving up in the company by looking at their career history. You can look at the demographics of the company. Is it diverse enough for you? You can look and see on LinkedIn what's happening. A lot of companies are on LinkedIn and they're posting information about what's going on in the company, right? News, stuff like that. That's going to be good for you to have because then again, you can assess and know what you're getting yourself into. You can also bring up certain things that they posted on LinkedIn in the interview as well. That really shows that you're following this company and you really are interested in what they're doing and you want to work there. Google, of course, good old Google, right? Definitely you could Google the name of the company and put news and see what's going on, see what has happened in the last 3 months, 6 months with the company, with the industry, how the company has been responding to things happening in the industry, trends in the industry. So now you know specifically some of the problems they're facing. You can talk intelligently about what's been going on with them. Maybe they're having a downward trend right now, and you could position yourself as someone who can help them to get out of that. Hello, right? So you have all these resources with the internet now that you could really dig a whole lot deeper and really know about this company and what's going on. That will help you to stand out because people don't really do this. They go to the website and they read the about page. But now if you're saying, hey, I saw on LinkedIn that you guys won an award last week for whatever. That was really, really interesting. I really love that, and you could talk intelligently about the company and what's been happening in this interview. Okay. So you need to be prepared. After you've done your research, there's still more research, really. You want to know who you're interviewing with. Please try to get a name. And when you get a name, try to find them on LinkedIn just to get a feel for who you're going to be talking to, maybe even connect with them. You could connect with them probably after the interview, but definitely check out their LinkedIn profile. So then when you come there, you can say, oh, yes, I've seen your background on LinkedIn. I really love the way you advanced to the company, right? So now you're kind of schmoozing them a little bit, just making them feel like, you've really took some time to get to know them. That's very powerful as well. And then try your best to understand their needs for this position. So when you read the job description, figure out what are some of the problems that you're going to come in here and solve for them. What are some of the skills that they're really looking for you to come in and help them with whatever challenges facing right now. Once you get an understanding for what's happening in the department, and if you did that research about the industry, now you can tell stories and give examples about how your background fits their needs for this position. Okay. And then of course, be prepared by having your materials ready. Have a resume, a few copies of your resume, any letters of recommendation. You can have a portfolio of some of your sample work. Of course, business cards and things like that. Be prepared. Bring a notepad, bring a pen if you want to jot down questions throughout the interview to ask at the end. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. You also want to rehearse your stories. Now, I have here rehearse your car star SAR stories. I know that's weird, right? But I want you to think about for car, in your career history, what are some challenges that you've been facing? What actions did you take when those challenges arose? And what was the result of your action? That's what I mean by car, right? Star just means situation that was put in front of you, the task you were assigned to do, your actions, and the result. And then the SAR is just situation, action, result. So it could, any of these work. Really, if you think about it, everything ends with action and result, right? That's really what the meat of what we want. And so when they ask you questions, have your car star or SAR stories ready to go. So that means you have to go back in your career history and really know and understand some of the wins that you were able to get in your past positions that are going to be most relevant to the job at hand. Okay. You're not just pulling crazy stories out of the wind here. You're thinking about, remember I said, think about how you will help them, understand their needs, right? So I'm going to try to give an example off the fly here. Bear with me. Let's say you are in marketing and you are really good at launching big marketing campaigns, okay? If they ask you, if the position is for marketing, of course, and they ask you a question like, tell me about your experience with marketing campaigns. Don't say, oh, I've been doing marketing campaigns for 10 years. I'm really great at it. And it's something that I enjoy. Don't say that. It's not a great answer. It's okay, but it could be better. Now, what if you answer the same question by saying, that's a great question. And I'm so glad you asked that. A lot of my career has been in launching these campaigns. I had a situation in my last company where we were really looking to launch a huge brand new product. And I was tasked with running the entire campaign. I was able to pull the team together. There were about 15 of us. I led the charge and we were able to generate $10 million as a result. Isn't that way more powerful, right? So make it a story. The thing about it, storytelling resonates with people's brains way better than just facts and blah sentences, because the way our brain works, we remember sequences of events. So if you're telling it in a story form, well, first this happened, then I did this, and the result was, it makes more sense and it's more memorable for them. Okay, so get your car star or SAR stories together. Get at least 10 good ones ready to go. So whatever questions they ask, you should have one kind of queued up. And start practicing this. You have to rehearse it. Okay, I just pulled that out of nowhere and I haven't interviewed in forever, but it's stuff that I help my clients with all the time. So I'm familiar. I want you to have that level of confidence with it. The only way you'll get that good at it is by actually saying it out loud. So if you need to partner up, maybe here in the group with someone and help each other practice your car star SAR stories, definitely do that. So when your next interview, you can make a much bigger impact and impression. Okay. Study and understand the job description. This helps you formulate your car star SAR stories as well. Because again, if you know what they want, then you know the type of things that would be relevant from your career history. Okay. And then be ready to address your shortcomings. right? We like to kind of avoid those and just hope and pray that they don't ask about, anything that may be not a strength. So, or a situation, for example, I had a client who had got fired from her last job. And she was so nervous about how to answer that. Like, what happened? Why'd you leave your last job? But she had to say she got fired. And we put together a quick 2-line response. And she was ready. She was like, oh, I can't wait till they ask me. And guess what? They didn't even ask her. Right? But be ready. So if you know they're looking for a certain certification, for example, and you don't have it, be ready to respond. Don't just act like, hopefully they don't ask and try to brush it off, because when they do ask you, you're going to be fumbling. You're not going to know what to say. And you're kind of hurting your chances. So anything that you're missing or anything that, may come up that could be seen as a hindrance, be ready to address it. Because all of this, when you do all of these things that I'm talking to you about, guess how you're going to show up? Confidently. And guess who gets the job? The confident one, right? He or she who interviews best gets hired. So not all the time are they going to actually hire the best person for the job, right? They're going to hire the person that interviewed best. And interviewing, luckily, is a skill that you can learn through practice, preparation, things like this, training, doing mock interviews, getting assessed. You can learn to do this well. So you can show up ready and confident to get hired if you determine that that's what you want. Okay. So now, first impressions. Everybody's watching. Everybody's watching. And guess what? The person who interviewed you is going to go back to the receptionist and say, hey, how did she greet you? How did he greet you? And they're going to tell them. I watch it all the time happen when I was in corporate. Everybody's watching. So be nice to everyone. Make sure you show up about 10, 15 minutes early just to make sure you're there. If you have to use the restroom before you go in, you have time to do that, right? You're ready, you're prepared, no rush, no pressure, you're ready. Another thing that I recommend sometimes to my clients is when they first show up or you first come to the office, throw them a compliment. Nothing crazy or inappropriate, people, please. Something simple. Oh, what a nice watch. Oh, is that your family of beautiful children? Oh, I love your office. What a great view. Very subtle. Make it sound sincere. Well, don't make it sound sincere. Make it sincere. But try to find something that caught your eye and just mention it. Okay? Now, when you first start the interview, I want you to try your best to ask this question first. So maybe it's on the walk, on the way to the interview, or while we're like, if it's a virtual interview, which we're doing a lot of now, maybe it's like right before they actually start while people are setting up or whatnot, or when they ask you, hey, how are you? Or just kind of start. I want you to try your best to squeeze in a question first before they start. And this is the question. What was it about my application that made you want to meet with me today? If you can ask this first and they can give you an answer, you can use what they said throughout the interview to reinforce the things that they like about you, to continuously reinforce the fact that they wanted you and they want you, right? It's like a mind thing, right? Almost. It does a lot. One, it sets the tone of the rest of the interview, right? So when you say something like that and they give you a positive response, now they're in that mindset of, yeah, that's why I really want to talk to you. And they're excited now, and you're excited because now you know why they want you, right? The other thing it does is it gives you leverage. So when it's time to negotiate, you can pull that stuff back out and say, well, I know you're looking for someone who is this, this, and that. And you mentioned earlier that I am this, this, and that. I think I'm a great fit for this opportunity. right? So if you can get this question in there, if you can't get it in the beginning, definitely get it towards the end. But I want you to get it, because even if you can't necessarily use it throughout the interview because you didn't get it in the beginning, you could use it at the end to wrap up and seal the deal, or you could put it in the thank you letter as well. The first question they typically ask is, tell me about yourself. You've got to have that. Listen, don't talk about your cats and your dogs and your 6 kids and your childhood. Like, they don't really want to, they don't care about, they don't care about that stuff, right? They are looking for you to tell them, why are you here? That's really the question. Why are you here? Or it could be something like, why should we hire you? That's what you should be answering. Tell me about yourself is not truly about you. It's really about them, right? So your answer to tell me about yourself should be something progressive, something that showcases your value, right? So understanding what you're bringing to the table. And hopefully if you ask that question in the beginning, you can sprinkle some of that in there. But it's really about showcasing who you are and why you're here. So tell me about yourself. Well, I'm a marketing strategist that has a great track record of launching multi-million-dollar campaigns. And when I saw this opportunity, I was like, this is perfect for me because I see that you guys are ready to launch something big. And so I'm eager to learn more about this opportunity and more about the role. So, right? So that is much better than, oh, well, I was born in Barbados. I grew up in Detroit. I have 3 children and a puppy dog. It's not relevant. They don't care, right? They don't really care about that stuff. They really want to focus. You want to focus on your career stuff, okay? Be authentic, right? We already talked about storytelling. Selling your value and your brand is something that you really need to master as well. And a part of that will come when you practice your star stories, right? Because then you'll understand what you're bringing to the table, and the successes that you've had will all kind of encompass who you are as a professional and what you do well. You want to re-emphasize that all the time. And then when they ask, hey, do you have any questions for me? The answer is never no. The answer is always absolutely. I have a few questions if you have time. Great. What are your questions? What was it about my application that made you want to meet with me today? Right? That's one. There's another one I'll tell you about in a second. But you always want to have questions. You want to ask about the process moving forward. So when do you expect to hire this person? You want to try to see what they're looking for if you haven't got a good grasp. So tell me about your ideal person for this role. What attributes should they be bringing to the organization? Right? You want to ask if you're kind of weary about the position. Well, how come this position is vacant right now? What happened to the person before? Right? You can learn things about what's going on. So is it a new position? Did someone move up? Did someone leave? Right? That helps you, again, assess what's going on in the company. And you can try to assess that role and how you could possibly morph as well. So if it's a new position, then you know you have a great opportunity to make it into something great, right? If someone moved up, then you know, well, you could probably move up too, right? So these are things, again, these questions you ask should all be about assessment to make sure that you are a good fit and that the company is a good fit for your goals. All right, be engaging, right? See how I have a little personality. I'm being authentic with you guys. I'm not here like, well, I am. People like personality. You're a person, you're not a robot. So be engaging, smile, show some personality. That's important because people hire people, okay? So definitely show a little personality and be engaging. All right, now let me tell you what they really want to know. When they're asking all these questions, they really want to know a few different things. They want to know, can you do the job and do it well, right? So that comes from your star stories. Do you fit in here and will you like it? That's another thing they want to know, because the last thing they need is someone to come in and mess up all the synergy that they've built with the teamwork and everything and the culture or whatnot, okay? So they want to know that. So understand what the dynamics are and ask, hey, what's your leadership style? What's the culture like here? And you can take a look around from the receptionist and how she greets you to the people, how they dress. All these things will help you also understand if you fit in as well. They also want to know, can you help us? And how can you help us, right? So that kind of goes back into the challenges that they have, understanding what those are and how you fit in to help them with that. Is this really where you want to be, right? So they can probably tell if you just want a job, you just need a job, I'm just here for the job. You're hiring, right? You don't want that. You want them to feel like this is really where you want to be. And you can do that by, again, doing all that research and telling them how much you love them and how much you've been following the company and telling them about news about them. That gives a great indication to them that you really want to be there. They want to know who are you really and what makes you special. That's that tell me about yourself question. Okay. Can we afford to pay you? You got to come with your research, knowing the market, knowing what you're worth. Okay. Are you able to evolve with us? This is a big one now, especially with the pandemic, because companies are evolving very quickly these days. And so I think that versatility is a huge skill now that companies want. And so if you can show that, that's going to be helpful as well. And then what are your shortcomings and how do you deal with them? So they're going to ask you about that stuff. Remember, I said, be ready. If you have things that may come up that could be a hindrance, be ready. Make sure you have an answer when they ask, what is your weakness? Do not say, I don't have a weakness. That's a lie. You have a weakness. And make sure that however you talk about your weakness, that you spin it in a positive light in terms of knowing you have that weakness and that you've been working on it and you're still working on it and you have improved on that weakness. Okay. So those are the main things that they really want to kind of know. And that's what they're assessing. And a lot of these things are also things that you should be assessing as well. Now, remember I said I had a special question I want you to ask as well. So I have a question in the beginning. What was it about my application that made you want to meet with me today? And at the end, you want to ask, what is the number one challenge you're facing right now in the department or on the team or in the company, however you want to frame it? Hopefully you get an answer, right? Because now you're going to take the answer and in your thank you note, you're going to address that challenge with some high level solution. You're not going to put a whole plan together because they're going to steal your thing and go with it. They might, I don't know. But you could propose a solution and talk about something you've done in the past that was similar or some skill that you use to address a similar situation and that you have this idea and invite them to discuss it further with you. So now you done already started working before you got hired. No one does that, right? So you're going to stand out because you asked that question. You're going to stand out because you put some effort into thinking about them and what they need. You're going to stand out because you're giving them a glimpse into the fact that you have these problem-solving skills. You're going to stand out because now you're positioning yourself as the solution to their problem, right? So these are very, very powerful things that you could do to get hired if that's what you want. Okay. A few bonus tips. We're towards the end now. Don't wear anything crazy, distracting clothes, too much perfume, too much jewelry that you're shaking and jangling all over the place, right? Do not ask about salary first. Let them bring up the salary conversation. And I have a whole nother presentation all about salary. So I don't want to dig too deep into it here, but definitely you want to make sure that you know your walkaway number. If you don't know anything about salary, I want you to know what you're willing to walk away from. There is a number that you simply will not take because you can't pay your bills or that you feel like you're worth that amount of money. You have to know that number. So knowing that number will help you because then when they spit out their number, if it's above, you're good. And if it's below, it's not a good fit for you. right? So that's all I'm going to talk about salary. I'm sure we're probably going to get a couple of salary questions. It's always a big topic, but again, I have a whole hour-long presentation that's all about salary. And then follow up based on their timeline. Don't stalk these people, please. Find out, hey, when should I hear from you? And then allow them the time to do, you know, what they need to do, and then follow up. Okay. Um, and last but not least, practice, 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 practice. You're only going to get good at interviewing if you practice. So that means getting a partner, spitting each other with questions, practicing your car star stories. That means getting in the mirror, watching your facial expressions. That means listening to yourself, watching yourself, recording yourself and watching it to see, oh, why did I make that face? Oh, why did I move my hand like that? So now you're going to be more aware and get better. You can watch yourself and say, I don't look confident. And you know you need to work on your presence, right? Practice, practice, practice. If that means getting a mock interview coach, practice, practice, practice. All right. That's the end of the presentation. I do interview coaching as a service. I do mock interviews. I have a salary negotiation prep sheet. I have salary negotiation scripts. I have a resource called 90 Good Questions to Ask. So yeah, what questions do you have?
Well, that was absolutely amazing. One of the precise and golden content that I've seen. Uh, Anyone that has to go in, practicing and preparing for an interview. Now, one of my questions is that even though everyone has the knowledge, let's say they have got that expertise and we have experienced a couple of interviews, but eventually, or I would say for a fact, it's a time frame that someone loses confidence on the first question itself when an interviewer says, ask yourself, do you have any tips to control that, so that anyone can go in confidence and speak about himself or herself?
I'm sorry. I think I missed the first part. Did you say the first question kills your
Yes,
confidence?
absolutely. Now, for example, let's say that I am ready for an interview, but for some reason, when an interviewer asks, tell about yourself, we lose the confidence even in giving that answer. So how do you give tips on those aspects?
So you got to practice. You just got to practice. And the more you practice interviewing, the more comfortable you're going to get. And even if you feel like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. You guys ever watch Beyonce? If she ever trips or falls, she act like nothing happened and she's still dancing and doing everything. You've got to just be confident and keep going. Don't get caught up in, oh, I didn't do that very well. Oh, I should have said this and that, because then that's going to throw you off. The more you practice talking and saying it out loud, the better you'll get. That's the only way to overcome that, to be honest, that I know of, unless someone else has a better, you just have to get comfortable talking about these things, about your career.
Thank you very much. So we have a question from one of our audience is, what would be the correct answer about salary, or what was your previous salary?
Mm. So here in the States, that question about what was your previous salary is starting to get outlawed. It's now against the law. I forget how many states that you cannot ask that question. I would rebuttal that question with something like, um, I would definitely be willing to talk about that. I would be more interested in learning about what your budget is for this role. Do you have a set budget right now, or what is your range? And kind of just put the question back on them. And or you could say, if you're bold enough, uh, the what I was doing in at this company, um, it proves to be a lot different for what I would be doing for you. And so, leveraging that experience and expertise, I don't necessarily want to compare the two right now. I would prefer to look at this based on what you need and how I can add value to your organization and see if we can come up with a fair number. Something like that. But I would try, I mean, when they say that, they're looking to see, they want to see where you're at in terms of, can we, remember the question I said, one of the things they want to know is, can we afford to pay you? So I had a client who was making almost 200K, 200,000, and she knew that if they asked that and she said it, they would be like, oh, you're crazy. We're not paying you that. Right. So she flipped it and it worked every time. And they told her and she said, oh, okay, great. You know, that's definitely something we can negotiate XYZ. And so I would try my best not to give that number because really it's irrelevant. Why does it matter what I made over here? You're not that company. It's not the same job. Like, let's talk about what we're doing now.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that answer. Well, your slides were absolutely brilliant. And now I may request you to please unshare your screen so that you can come on the screen and so that we can questions from our audience who are right now raising their hands. So before I go, before I go to the audience, one of the things that I see on LinkedIn right now is no matter you don't have experience in that particular field, I see job seekers mentioning interested, just interested. So do you think, I understand that in this pandemic time, a lot of us have, many of us were made redundant. Do you think that going to other field would make them, give, give that perfection, like saying that I'm interested in this job, even though you are very low with it? So how do you recommend those job seekers to reply to speakers? Like, I always tell them to get in touch with the recruiter and ask them politely if their profile matches. Rather, wouldn't say interested in all the profiles, because when you say interested, everyone can see that in your profile. So do you have any guidance on that for job seekers, especially on LinkedIn?
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. Saying interested, do they even respond after that? Right? Because how many people are saying interested? So I would definitely follow your advice and reach out directly. And I wouldn't necessarily ask them to review the profile. I would hit them with, hey, I saw you posted this. Here's what I have to offer this type of opportunity. Do you have a few minutes to chat? Because I have questions about the role.
Thank you. So I would now unmute the audience who's raising their hands. Diksha wants to ask a question. Diksha, I will unmute you right now. Here we go with the question. And I would request when you're asking a question to please come in front of the video so that the speaker can have a very healthy conversations. Right, Diksha, are you there?
Wenzel, can you please go on live on YouTube? Sorry.
Hello.
Diksha, just a second. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you able to turn on your video, Diksha?
Yes. No.
1 second.
Hi, can you hear me?
Diksha, you can start now. You can try. Yeah. Yeah, perfect. Diksha, you can ask your question. Go ahead.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, yeah.
Hi. Good evening, Melanie. My name is Diksha, and first of all, I really loved your session today. And your confidence actually reminds me of Taraji for some reason. So Taraji Henson, and
Oh,
I
wow.
inspiration when it comes to building confidence, especially before interviews. So yeah. I had actually two questions. One was, what is the company when if they're not active on social? What are the other ways to actually find out their last 6 months activity? Because I think this is basis the research part which we explained. Because I think that's really really important. And I have found myself in the position where I'm actually researching about the company, but I have not received any data of what they're actually doing currently. So are there any other ways apart from going on their website or Googling them to find out what exactly are they doing and what exactly are they up to?
That's a good question. I mean, if they're not online and if you Google them, nothing really comes up. The only other way is to like find people who work there and try to ask them.
Okay.
So if you go on LinkedIn and look at their employees, pick a few. Don't hit up everybody because then they're gonna be like, "Hey, did you see that girl, Diska? Did she right? Don't do that." But just a few of them, and just kind of say, "Hey, I see that you work here. I have my eyes on this company. Do you have 5 minutes? I would love to learn a little bit more about what you do, because I really want to see about pursuing a career opportunity there. Can you tell me a little bit more about the company and that type of thing, and see if you could get people, like real people, to tell you what's going on. And then when you get them, you can ask them, so what's been going on? Have you guys had any challenges? Is there anything happening that is, that I should be aware of in terms of maybe a downward spiral, or, whatever. You can ask your specific questions to them as well.
Perfect. Thank you. My last question is there a way how we can ask the first question which you suggested, which says, what is it about my application that made you meet with me today?